summer sun was heavy over the quiet suburb of Lakewood Hills. The streets looked clean, calm and perfect, like nothing bad could ever happen there. But peace is often just a mask. Underneath, trouble was waiting. Marcus Johnson had lived in Lakewood Hills for 2 years with his wife, Tasha, and their little boy, Jamal. Marcus was a retired Navy SEAL, a man who had seen war up close. He came back to the States hoping for a normal life, family dinners, backyard barbecues, Saturday football. He wanted calm. He wanted to protect his family in a world that felt safe. But Lakewood Hills was not as safe as it looked. The Homeowners Association, or HOA, was always on their case. Complaints about grass being too long, Jamal's basketball hoop left near the sidewalk, or Tasha playing music on the porch. Small things but constant. Marcus had shrugged it off. "Let it go, baby," he'd told Tasha more than once. "We know who we are. We don't need their approval." Tasha tried to smile when he said it, but deep down, the pressure was getting to her. One hot afternoon, while Marcus was out at the gym, Tasha sat on the porch with a glass of iced tea. Jamal was drawing with chalk on the driveway. It was peaceful, until a black SUV rolled slowly up the street and stopped right in front of their house. 2 men stepped out. They wore dark uniforms with patches on the sleeves and heavy boots that clapped against the pavement. Their belts carried batons and handcuffs. On their chests, big letters read HOA Security. But these weren't real cops. Not city police, not state officers. Just men who worked for the neighborhood's HOA. Still, they carried themselves like they owned the place. One of them, tall and pale with a shaved head, smirked as he walked up. The other, shorter with a beer belly, followed behind. "You Tasha Johnson?" the tall one asked. Tasha stood slowly, uneasy. "Yes, can I help you?" "You can start by telling your kid to stop messing up the street with that chalk," the man sneered, pointing at Jamal. "It's chalk," Tasha said, trying to keep her voice calm. "It'll wash off with the rain." "Not our problem," the short one cut in. "Rules are rules. And you've been breaking a lot of them." Jamal looked up at his mom, his little face worried. Tasha pulled him closer. "Listen, we're not hurting anyone. If you have a problem, take it up with the board. Don't come here trying to scare my son." The tall man stepped closer. Too close. His eyes narrowed. "You got a mouth on you, lady. Maybe that's why you keep getting letters. Maybe you need to be taught some respect." Before Tasha could step back, his hand shot out. "Slap!" The sound cracked through the air. Jamal gasped. Tasha's head snapped to the side, her glass of tea falling and shattering on the porch. For a moment, time froze. Her cheek burned. Her heart raced. Her little boy's scream cut through her ears. And then, like a storm, Marcus's truck rolled up the street. He had come back. Early. He saw the SUV. He saw the uniforms. He saw his wife holding her face, eyes wide with shock, and his son crying at her side. Marcus didn't think. He didn't pause. The Navy SEAL in him woke up. The truck door flew open, and Marcus was already moving. His boots hit the pavement hard. "What the hell did you just do to my wife?" His voice thundered across the street. The 2 men turned, suddenly less confident. The tall one opened his mouth, maybe to explain, maybe to bluff. He never got the chance. Marcus's fist was already in motion. Crack! The punch landed square on the man's jaw, sending him sprawling backward into the grass. The short one tried to grab his baton, but Marcus was faster. He twisted the man's wrist, ripped the baton away, and shoved him against the SUV with bone-crushing force. "You think you're cops?" Marcus roared, his face inches away. "You don't lay hands on a woman." "Not mine, not ever." Neighbors started peeking through windows. Phones came out. Some were recording. But Marcus didn't care. His world had shrunk to one single point. His wife's tearful eyes and the handprint swelling on her cheek. "Marcus," Tasha whispered, her voice shaking. "Please, Jamal's scared." Marcus's grip tightened, but he forced himself to breathe. He shoved the short man away. The guy stumbled, gasping, clutching his wrist. The tall one groaned from the grass, blood dripping from his lip. "You're gonna regret this," he spat. "We'll press charges. You'll see." Marcus's eyes burned like fire. "Try me." He helped Tasha up, pulling her and Jamal close. His heart was pounding, his fists still ready. But deep inside, he knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. If you're reading this and you believe in standing up for your family, share this story. Too many people think they can abuse power and get away with it. But the truth, we all have the right to fight back when someone crosses the line. The street was buzzing. Neighbors whispered from behind curtains. Phones stayed pointed, recording every second. Marcus didn't care about the cameras, but he knew what they meant. This fight wasn't going to stay quiet. Tasha held Jamal close. She tried to stay strong, but her cheek was already swelling red. The pain stung, but what cut her deeper was fear. Fear for Jamal, fear for Marcus, and fear of what these men might do next. The taller man, still on the ground, tried to get up. He staggered, spitting blood on Marcus's lawn. "You think this is over? We are the law here. We'll ruin you." Marcus's jaw tightened. He wanted to smash him back down, but his son's tearful eyes kept him grounded. "No," Marcus said firmly, his voice sharp as a blade. "You're not the law. You're cowards hiding behind fake badges." The shorter man grabbed his radio, pressing the button. "Backup. We need backup at Lakewood Hills. Officer down." His voice shook, but he forced the words out. Marcus's stomach dropped. "Backup? How many of these fake cops were around?" Tasha grabbed his arm. "Marcus, please, let's just go inside." "Call the real police." He pulled out his phone, dialing 911. The line clicked. "911, what's your emergency?" "This is Marcus Johnson," he said, voice steady but urgent. "I need officers at 118 Maple Lane. Lakewood Hills. 2 HOA security guards assaulted my wife and threatened my family. I defended myself." "Send real cops, fast!" The dispatcher's calm voice came through. "Units are on their way, sir. Stay safe, do not escalate." Marcus hung up, slipping the phone back in his pocket. But his eyes never left the two men. "You hear that?" Marcus said coldly. "Real police are coming. Not your little play squad." The tall man sneered, holding his jaw. "You don't get it. The board owns this neighborhood. The cops don't touch us." Marcus stared at him, silent for a moment. Then he said, low and dangerous, "Everyone bleeds the same." Before anything else could happen, another black SUV rolled down the street. This one carried 3 more men in the same fake uniforms. They jumped out fast, batons in hand, eyes burning with anger. "Step away from our officers," one shouted. Marcus pushed Tasha and Jamal behind him. His instincts kicked in. He scanned the area. 5 opponents, all bigger than average, but sloppy in their stances. They were muscle, not soldiers. He could take them. But protecting his family was priority 1. Tasha's voice cracked. "Marcus, don't. Please, you can't fight all of them." Marcus turned his head just enough to meet her eyes. His voice softened. "Baby, I fought worse than this overseas. But right now, I need you to trust me. Keep Jamal close." Jamal tugged on his mom's dress, his little voice trembling. "Mommy, is Daddy gonna get hurt?" Tasha swallowed hard, forcing a shaky smile. "No, baby. Daddy's strong." The 3 new men spread out, circling Marcus. The tall one from before laughed bitterly, blood dripping down his chin. "Yeah, big man. Show us what a SEAL's got. We'll make sure you regret it." Marcus's pulse slowed. Adrenaline sharpened his vision, his breath steady. He had lived for moments like this, but never thought he'd face them in his own front yard. The first man charged, baton swinging. Marcus sidestepped and slammed an elbow into the man's ribs. Crack. The air left his lungs in a rush as he collapsed. The second swung wide. Marcus caught his wrist mid-air, twisted hard, and the baton clattered to the ground. With one motion, Marcus swept his legs out, dropping him hard onto the driveway. The third hesitated, fear flashing in his eyes. But pride pushed him forward. He lunged. Marcus ducked low, drove his shoulder into the man's gut, and sent him flying over the hood of the SUV. The impact shook the car. Neighbors gasped. Some even cheered quietly from their yards. But Marcus wasn't smiling. His chest heaved, his knuckles stung, and his heart ached as he glanced back at Tasha and Jamal. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was war. Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights reflected on the houses as 2 police cruisers screeched to a stop. Officers jumped out, weapons drawn. "Freeze! Hands up!" Marcus stepped back instantly, raising his hands high. "I'm the homeowner. I called you. These men are not real cops. They assaulted my wife." The HOA men froze too, their confidence crumbling. Their fake patches looked cheap under the flashing lights. One officer approached cautiously. "Sir, we'll sort this out." Stay calm. Another officer bent down to check the tall man bleeding in the grass. These guys, they're not on any official roster. What the hell is going on here? Tasha's voice cracked as she spoke, pointing to her cheek. He hit me. Right in front of my son. Please, don't let them walk away. The officer's jaw tightened. He turned to his partner. Cuff them. All of them. The HOA guards shouted protests, their voices panicked. You can't do this! We run this neighborhood! The cops ignored them, snapping cuffs tight around their wrists. Marcus pulled Tasha and Jamal close, finally letting out the breath he'd been holding. But deep down, he knew this wasn't finished. These weren't just random men, they worked for someone. Someone powerful. And Marcus was ready to find out who. If you've ever felt like the system is rigged against regular people, you know this fight isn't just Marcus's fight. Share this story and let people see what happens when ordinary families push back against bullies in power. The flashing lights faded as the police cruisers drove off with the cuffed men in the back. The street slowly returned to silence, but the damage lingered. Tasha's cheek was still red and swollen. Jamal clung to her like a shadow, refusing to let go. Marcus stood on the porch, staring out at the street. His fists were sore, but his mind was sharper than ever. Something about tonight didn't sit right. He had fought men overseas who followed orders without question. He recognized the same kind of blind loyalty in those HOA guards. They weren't just thugs. They were pawns. Tasha touched his arm gently. Marcus, let's go inside, please. Jamal needs to rest. I need to breathe. He looked at her, his anger softening. You're right. Inside, the house felt heavier than usual. Jamal curled up on the couch, holding his toy soldier tight. Marcus crouched beside him. Daddy? Jamal whispered. Why did they hit Mommy? Aren't cops supposed to help? Marcus's chest tightened. He stroked his son's hair. Those men weren't real cops, buddy. They were pretending. And I promise you, nobody is ever going to hurt Mommy again. Jamal nodded slowly, his little eyes searching for safety in his father's words. Tasha sat at the dining table holding an ice pack to her cheek. She looked at Marcus, her voice trembling. What if they come back? What if the HOA board sends more of them? Marcus leaned against the counter, his mind racing. Then I'll be ready. But I need to know who's really behind this. The next morning, Marcus didn't waste time. He drove straight to the local police station to check on the men who were arrested. The desk officer, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, frowned as he checked the system. Strange. They were booked last night, but an hour later, released. No bail. No paperwork. Marcus's jaw clenched. Released? After assaulting my wife? The officer shrugged, uneasy. Look, I don't know what strings got pulled, but someone high up made a call. I can't say more than that. Marcus thanked him stiffly and left, but rage boiled inside. This wasn't just about HOA rules. Someone powerful was pulling the strings, and they were protecting those fake cops. That evening, Marcus sat at his kitchen table with his laptop open. He wasn't just a SEAL by training. He had learned to dig for information when needed. He searched the HOA board members one by one. Most were just uptight neighbors worried about lawns and parking spaces. But one name stood out, Richard Halpern. Wealthy businessman, former city council member, ties to private security firms. Marcus leaned back, exhaling sharply. There you are. Tasha walked in, arms folded. You found something? Yeah, Marcus said. Halpern. He's not just some guy on the board. He owns Titan Security. That's the company those men work for. He probably pays them under the table to act like they run this place. Tasha's face paled. So he's the reason they came after us. Marcus nodded. And he won't stop. Not unless we make him. Tasha grabbed his hand. Marcus, I know you want to protect us, but please, don't do something reckless. Let the police handle it. He squeezed her hand gently. The police already let them go. If I don't handle this, nobody will. 2 nights later, Marcus decided to pay Halpern a visit. He parked a few houses down from the massive brick home at the edge of the neighborhood. Lights glowed from inside. A black luxury car sat in the driveway. Marcus walked up the path, every sense alert. He knocked on the heavy wooden door. After a pause, the door creaked open. Richard Halpern stood there in a silk robe, a glass of wine in hand. His silver hair was slicked back, his smile cold. Well, the Navy SEAL himself, Halpern said smoothly. To what do I owe the honor? Marcus's voice was low and controlled. Your men came to my house. They assaulted my wife in front of my son. That ends now. Halpern chuckled darkly. Oh, come on. They were just enforcing the rules. You knew when you moved here, Lakewood Hills has standards. People like you don't always fit. Marcus's eyes narrowed. People like me? Halpern's smirk deepened. Don't play dumb. You think families like yours belong here? This neighborhood was built to keep order. My order. Marcus stepped closer, his fists tightening. If you ever send another man to my house, I won't stop at breaking bones. I'll bring you down. Do you understand me? Halpern sipped his wine calmly. You can try, but you'll lose. The board, the police, the city, they all take my calls. You? You're just one man. Marcus leaned in, his voice ice cold. One man is all it takes. He turned and walked away, his boots striking the pavement with finality. Halpern's mocking voice followed him. Careful, Seal. This is my battlefield, not yours. Later that night, Marcus sat at the edge of his bed, staring at the floor. Tasha slipped beside him, wrapping her arms around his shoulders. You saw him, didn't you? She whispered. Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah, and he's worse than I thought. He thinks he owns us. He thinks he owns everything. Tasha rested her head on his shoulder. Then we'll prove him wrong, together. For the first time that night, Marcus let himself breathe. He kissed her forehead gently. Together, but in his heart, he knew the fight was only just beginning. If you've ever dealt with corruption or bullies in power, you know how hard it is to stand your ground. But silence only makes them stronger. Share this story and remind people, families deserve safety no matter where they live. For a few days, the neighborhood stayed quiet. Almost too quiet. No SUVs, no fake uniforms, no threats at the door. But Marcus didn't let his guard down. He knew men like Halpern didn't back off. They plotted. They waited. And they always came back harder. Tasha tried to keep life normal. She walked Jamal to school every morning, cooked dinner, and smiled when neighbors waved. But Marcus could see the weight on her shoulders. Every time a car slowed near the house, she tensed. Every time the doorbell rang, her hand tightened on her phone. One Friday night, as they sat at the table eating spaghetti, the doorbell rang. The sound was sharp, cutting through the room like a blade. Marcus stood slowly. Stay here, he told Tasha and Jamal. He opened the door to find an envelope on the porch. No one was there. Just silence. He picked it up carefully, scanning the street. Empty. He closed the door and opened the envelope at the table. Inside was a single sheet of paper with bold black letters. This is your final warning. Leave Lakewood Hills, or your family pays the price. Tasha gasped, her hand covering her mouth. Marcus? Marcus crumpled the paper in his fist. His voice was low, controlled, but full of fire. They want a war. Fine, they'll get one. The next day, Marcus called an old SEAL buddy, Carlos. They hadn't spoken in years. But when Marcus explained the situation, Carlos didn't hesitate. You're saying a rich HOA boss is running his own private militia? Carlos asked, his voice rough over the phone. Exactly, Marcus replied. And they think they can scare my family out of our home. Carlos chuckled darkly. Sounds like he picked the wrong SEAL. You want backup? Not yet, Marcus said. But I need intel. Anything you can dig up on Titan Security or Richard Halpern. You got it. Give me 2 days. That evening, Marcus took a slow walk around the neighborhood. The air was cool, the lawns trimmed, the houses quiet. But he could feel eyes on him. Curtains twitched. Cars idled longer than they should. Halfway down the block, a black SUV pulled up alongside him. The window rolled down. Inside sat Richard Halpern, smiling like a shark. Taking a stroll, SEAL? Halpern said smoothly. You should enjoy it while you can. Marcus stopped, his body tense. You think intimidation is going to work on me? Halpern laughed. Oh, no. Not intimidation, persuasion. He pulled out a folder and waved it. You've got a son in elementary school, don't you? Cute kid. Would be a shame if something happened on his way to class. Marcus's blood turned to fire. He stepped closer, his voice low and deadly. If you ever speak my son's name again, I swear... Halpern interrupted with a smirk. You'll what? Break my face? You already tried that with my men. Didn't change a thing. This is my world, Marcus. You can't win here. Marcus leaned in, his eyes cold steel. Then I'll burn your world down. Halpern's smile faltered for the first time. He rolled the window up and the SUV sped off, leaving Marcus seething in the street. Later that night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at the crumpled threat letter. Tasha came in quietly, wrapping a robe around herself. "You're scaring me," she whispered. "You're not just angry anymore. You're planning something." Marcus looked at her, his eyes heavy but determined. "He threatened Jamal. That's a line no man crosses. I won't wait for him to strike first." Tasha shook her head, tears brimming. "Marcus, please. I don't want to lose you. We need the law, not revenge." Marcus reached across the table, holding her hands. "This isn't revenge. This is protection. I swore an oath to defend this country, and now I swear an oath to defend this family. I won't let him take our peace." She squeezed his hands, silent, torn between fear and faith. 2 days later, Carlos called back. "Got something for you. Halpern's company, Titan Security, lost its license years ago. Too many complaints, too many lawsuits. But instead of shutting down, he kept it running off the books. Hires washed-up ex-cops and wannabes. Pays them cash. No records." Marcus nodded slowly. "Makes sense. Explains why the police can't pin him," Carlos added. "And here's the kicker. Halpern's running for city council again. He's using this HOA as his personal kingdom to prove he's tough on crime. That's his angle." Marcus exhaled. "So he's building power, one neighborhood at a time." "Exactly. And you're the guy who can expose him," Carlos said. "But it won't be easy. He's got friends in high places." Marcus smiled grimly. "Good, I've never liked easy." That night, Marcus set his plan in motion. He gathered every letter the HOA had sent, every video neighbors had taken of the fake cops, and every statement from Tasha about the assault. He packed it into a folder. But before he could make his move, headlights flared outside. Another SUV. This time 3 men in dark uniforms stormed out, running straight for the house. Marcus's instincts snapped alive. "Tasha, get Jamal in the back room." She didn't hesitate. She grabbed their son and disappeared down the hall. Marcus grabbed the baseball bat by the door. He swung it hard as the first man tried to push inside. Crack! The man fell back, groaning. The second lunged through the doorway. Marcus drove the bat into his gut, then slammed him against the wall. The third raised a taser, but Marcus ducked and tackled him to the ground. The taser clattered away. With one hard punch, the man went limp. The house shook with chaos. Tasha held Jamal tight in the back room, whispering prayers. Marcus stood in the wrecked living room, 3 bodies groaning at his feet, chest heaving. He grabbed his phone and dialed Carlos. "They came to my house," Marcus said through clenched teeth. "Halpern sent them. It's time to end this." Carlos's voice was steady. "Then let's do it SEAL style. No more warnings." Marcus looked down the hall where Tasha and Jamal clung to each other. His heart hardened. "This ends now," he whispered. "This fight isn't just fiction, it's a mirror." How many times do people in power use fear to control families? Share this story if you believe bullies don't get the last word. The next morning, Lakewood Hills looked the same as ever. Green lawns, neat sidewalks, kids riding bikes. But inside the Johnson home, nothing felt normal. The living room still bore the marks of last night's fight. A shattered lamp, a dent in the wall, drops of blood on the floor. Tasha moved quietly, cleaning up while Marcus sat at the table with a folder spread open before him. Inside were the letters, the threats, the photos, and the videos. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about justice. Marcus dialed Carlos again. "It's time. We're taking Halpern down tonight." Carlos's voice came back sharp. "You've got the proof." "I'll get the tech. Meet me at the old warehouse by the docks, midnight." Marcus hung up. He turned to Tasha, who was standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. Her cheek was still healing, but her eyes were stronger than ever. "Marcus," she said softly, "promise me you'll come back." He stood, wrapping his arms around her. "I promise." "This ends tonight." Midnight came. The docks were quiet, the air thick with the smell of salt and rust. Carlos was already there, laptop glowing on the hood of his truck. "Got the live stream ready," Carlos said. "Once we get Halpern on record, the whole city will see it. No more cover-ups." Marcus nodded. "Let's go fishing." They drove back into Lakewood Hills, parking a block away from Halpern's mansion. The house glowed with warm light. Laughter echoed from inside, wine glasses. Clinking, music humming. Marcus walked up the long driveway, Carlos trailing behind with the laptop. He knocked hard on the door. Halpern himself answered, wearing another silk robe. A smug smile plastered across his face. Well, well. Can't stay away, can you? Marcus didn't waste words. He pushed past him into the foyer. This ends now. Halpern's smile faltered. You've got some nerve. Carlos set the laptop on a table, the camera already rolling live. Across the city, screens lit up as the feed began. Marcus pulled the threat letter from his pocket and tossed it onto Halpern's chest. You sent men to my house. You threatened my wife. My son. Admit it. Halpern laughed coldly. You think anyone cares? I am this neighborhood. I pay the police, the board, even the mayor. You can't touch me. Marcus stepped closer, his voice low and steady. Say it again. On camera. Halpern sneered, too arrogant to realize what was happening. Fine, I sent them. I own them. And I'll send more if I want. Families like yours don't belong here. Carlos's eyes widened. The live stream counter shot up. Hundreds, then thousands of viewers. Comments exploded across the screen. Marcus leaned in. You just buried yourself. Halpern's smile faltered as he noticed the glowing laptop. He lunged for it, but Marcus blocked him, slamming him back against the wall. You're done, Marcus said, his voice like steel. Outside, the sound of sirens rose. Real police this time. Dozens of them. The live stream had forced their hand. They couldn't ignore it now. The front door burst open, officers flooding the mansion. Guns raised, voices booming, hands where we can see them. Halpern shouted, panic cracking his voice. You can't arrest me? I run this city. The lead officer cuffed him without hesitation. Not anymore. We've got it all on tape. Neighbors spilled into the street, whispering, filming, cheering quietly as Halpern was dragged out in cuffs. Marcus stood at the doorway, Tasha and Jamal running up the driveway to meet him. He scooped his son into his arms, holding him tight. Tasha hugged them both. Tears streaming down her cheeks, not from fear this time, but from relief. It's over, she whispered. Marcus kissed her forehead, his voice steady. Yeah, it's over. The next day, the news spread like wildfire. Headlines screamed, HOA boss exposed running private army. Livestream shows fake cops assaulting family. Navy SEAL brings down corrupt security ring. Halpern's empire crumbled overnight. His company was seized, his allies fled, and his reputation was ruined. The families of Lakewood Hills finally breathed free. Marcus sat on his porch with Tasha and Jamal, the summer sun warming their skin. Jamal played with his chalk again, drawing bright colors across the driveway. This time no one dared to stop him. Tasha leaned her head on Marcus's shoulder. You did it. You protected us. Marcus smiled faintly, his arm around her. No, we did it. Together. For the first time in months, the street felt safe again. If you've read this far, you know the truth. Bullies only win when good people stay silent. Whether it's corrupt bosses, fake authority, or anyone who abuses power, families deserve better. Stand up, speak out, share this story, and remind the world. Courage at home is just as powerful as courage on the battlefield.